Hey everyone, welcome to episode 1. In this episode, we'll be discussing the Game Boy Color. I'll show an unboxing of the auction I won on eBay. It also came in 3 games, however, I was more interested in the Game Boy itself since it seemed to be in the best shape compared to others I've seen in similar price range. Plus, it still had its battery cover. Seriously, why are there a ton of Game Boys out there without a battery cover? Just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, it came in 3 extra games, which is kinda nice, and I'll just add them to my collection. So just a note, the footage of the unboxing was recorded a while ago and before I added some additional lighting. I also used a built-in mic instead of connecting external ones, so the audio is what it is. I'll see what I can do about it, but I don't know if I can actually improve it anymore without re-recording. With that being said, I'm going to open the box up, and I'm going to try to open it carefully because I don't know how it's packaged. Plus, I don't know if there's any personal information inside, some sort of invoice or anything like that. And I don't want to reveal anyone's data. So I'm going to open it up and take a quick peek, and hopefully it's what I expected it to be. Packaged well. Looks like I got a note, says thank you and enjoy. So that's cool. Games are packaged separately from the actual Game Boy Color itself, and that's it. So, alright. Let's take a look now at the actual Game Boy Color first, since that's the focus of this video, and then we can look at the games later on. Let's save that note, because that's kind of cool. Don't know what condition it's actually in. All I saw were photos online, so let's see. There's batteries in here. It could be good or bad depending on how old they are. They don't seem to have leaked anywhere, that's good. Battery compartment looks nice and clean, as you can see here. Sorry I don't have like a good camera where I can zoom in or anything like that. One of these days maybe. But the overall condition of the unit is pretty good. The screen protector, so to speak, that comes with the Game Boys, it's a little scuffed up, but it's nothing that I didn't expect. Otherwise, it looks nice and clean. I don't see any other scuffs or scrapes or damage or anything like that. This is the Atomic Purple variant, as shown by its clear purplish color. This was probably one of the more popular colors, judging by all of the units available online. Let's see if I can get a better, closer look at it. It's a little dark in here. I don't know if I can get a good angle or not so you can see the scratches on the screen there, but if not, I'll try to take some close-up photos of it later in some better lighting. I wanted to get this video in and out of the way because I want to include this in a different video that you may have already seen by now, hopefully. The other reason I wanted to get this particular eBay listing versus the others is that this one actually came with a battery cover. For some reason, a lot of these Game Boys don't have battery covers on them. I don't know why. They just don't. So, what are you going to do? Let's take a look at the game, see what condition they're in. Oh, I should also mention I have absolutely no idea if this thing works. The listing said it did, so I have to trust it. But if it doesn't, it'll make for an interesting repair video. And each game is individually wrapped on their own. So, the person obviously took some great care. This game we're opening up here is Frogger, apparently. Haven't played this since, I don't know, the Atari 2600. So that'll be a nice little addition because I don't have that right now. In fact, I think I only have 2 Game Boy games officially. Used to have a whole lot more, but foolishly sold it all when I was younger, except for these 2 apparently. Second game, A Bug's Life. Never really watched the movie, but hey, that's a game to add to the collection, I guess.
And the last game is Centipede, another game I haven't played since the Atari, so this will be interesting. Turn up here a little. By the way, this video is probably going to have a lot of hard edits and hard cuts just because I may re-record certain parts of it, depending on the quality of it. But let's test this out real quick, make sure it works. I'm not going to use the batteries it came with. They probably work, but you never know. Actually, it's just 2 AA batteries. Side note, the original Game Boy needed 4 AA batteries. I think lasted up to 10 hours. When they came up with the Game Boy Pocket, they were able to bring it down to 2 AA batteries about the same amount of time. So, all right, let's take a look. Looks like it's in good shape here. No, it's working. It's kind of hard to see the screen since the Game Boy Color was not backlit at all. But we'll see if I can't. Yeah, you can barely see it. Let me see if having a flashlight on it helps any. Yeah, there we go. You can kind of see it now. They do make a backlight mod for this where you can basically put in a backlight as well as the original Game Boy. Eats a little bit of battery power, but not that much. Maybe I'll do a future video on it. We'll see. Let's see. 1 player. Get ready. Just make sure it's working. Yep. And I died already. And that's it. So, okay. Enough of that. Let's take a look at A Bug's Life and see how that works. So far seems to be working just fine. Intro screens. Just want to start the game, Disney, come on. Of course. Oh my gosh, yeah, there's way too many intro screens. I can definitely see myself never playing this game again after today. Let's start the game. I don't even know what I'm doing. And there's a story. Okay. Oh, so it's just a platformer, running, jumping, doing stuff, avoiding objects. Yeah, okay. Enough of that. Look at Centipede. And once I'm done testing this last cartridge, we'll test a couple of my games, well, the 2 games that I have, just to make sure that those work on it as well. Now, these 3 games are Game Boy Color games. I have 1 other Game Boy Color game, and I have an original black and white game. The Game Boy Color can display some basic colors in older games that didn't have any color in them. Kind of like the Super Game Boy could. For those that don't know what the Super Game Boy was, it was an adapter for the Super Nintendo that lets you play your Game Boy games on your television. Let you color them too, 4 basic colors. They weren't always the best, but it was better than looking on a little tiny 2-inch screen in black and white. They did release some Game Boy games that were Super Game Boy enabled that added some extra colors, but most of the games that were released were never really, well, they never really took advantage of that. So the other thing I should make note of is that these Game Boy Color cartridges, they're black, but that also means that they'll work on the regular Game Boy just in black and white. Game Boy Color only cartridges come in this, there were different colors. This particular one is transparent, and it's got a little bump on it instead of the traditional, whatever you want to call that, embossed area. This game is Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages. Got it as a gift years ago from a buddy of mine. Let's see if it works. It still works. That's good. Haven't played it in I don't even know how long. Apparently I have a file on here with a few hearts on it, so that's working. That's good. And the only other Game Boy game I have is actually a game that I owned and bought brand new, is Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge. And I know this is mine because on the back you'll see a little sticker featuring Game Genie codes. For those that don't know, a Game Genie was a device that you could plug in to your game console. They have one for Nintendo, Genesis, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, and I think the Game Gear. And they'll let you do things like cheat, give yourself infinite lives, make yourself invincible, defeat enemies in one hit. But it can also do crazy things like giving you like super jumps. So like you could jump the length of a screen, and you could change the physics in the game. Maybe you increase the gravity so you can't jump as high, or you decrease it so you jump higher. Let's see if this works. And it looks like as soon as it starts up, it does put it in color, but it puts it in a greenish color and an orangish color. So like the background is greenish, and the bosses are in color, like an orangish color. So I don't know if it detects if this is a Mega Man game and pick these colors, or if it's just random. I know you can start a game by holding certain button combinations down. You can change the palette. You don't have those combinations with me at this moment. I will get them in a moment and mention them in the video later. For now, I just wanted to see if all of this works, because I can't really do a review on this if it doesn't work. And what I want to do is also go over the history of the Game Boy Color and the reason Nintendo made it, and the reason why I never actually picked one up. Another thing is these games that I got with the unit did not come with a case, but I have some extra cases that I bought on Amazon. You can find them all over the place. They're almost 100% identical to the ones that came with the games originally. And the difference is that they don't actually say Nintendo on the back, because that's obviously a copyright, but it doesn't matter because it's in the back anyway and no one's going to see it. Alright.
Okay, with that out of the way, let's go over the history of the Game Boy Color. The Game Boy Color was first released in Japan in October of 1998, with a release in other markets in November. It was the fourth release in the Game Boy family of Nintendo handhelds, the other three being the original Game Boy, the Game Boy Pocket, and the Game Boy Light. North America would only see the release of three of these, as the Game Boy Light was exclusive to Japan. The Game Boy Light was effectively a Game Boy Pocket with a built-in backlight. The Game Boy Color was kind of a placeholder until Nintendo was ready to release Project Atlantis, which ended up becoming what we now know as the Game Boy Advance. It has a similar form factor to that of the Game Boy Pocket, though it's slightly taller and thicker. It came in a variety of colors, including Atomic Purple, Dandelion, and Mirinda. Now this particular color was only sold in Mexico, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Hungary. There were many other colors, way too many to list here, so I'll leave a link below for you to check it out. Its CPU is a custom Sharp-made LR35902 that runs at either 4.194 MHz or 8.388 MHz, depending on whether or not you're playing a Game Boy or a Game Boy Color game. It features a 2.6-inch color LCD screen supporting a resolution of 160 by 144 pixels, same as the original Game Boy, with the max number of colors being 10, 32, or 56, depending on the profile used. It did not have a backlight, and just like the original, made it very difficult to play without some sort of light source such as the sun, an overhead lamp, or even some goofy add-on that you would attach to make it look really ridiculous. For example, they had one that attached to the side of it that kind of looked like a desk lamp, the kind with the little wiggly arm that you can bend and shape. It was just really odd why Nintendo didn't include a backlight. Every other handheld console that had come out since the original Game Boy had one. There was no excuse. The only reason most people can think of is it was just down to cost. Nintendo wanted to try to keep the cost of the system as low as possible, and adding a backlight would have increased that cost. Anyway, back to the specs. It also had about 3 times as much memory as the original Game Boy, with 32 kilobytes of system RAM and 16 kilobytes of video RAM. It could run for up to 10 hours, just like the original, except it only needed 2 AA batteries, whereas the original needed 4 of them. And if you used really, really good batteries, you could probably get another hour or 2 out of that on top of it. Since the Game Boy Color is backwards compatible with the original Game Boy, it can play those games too, and as mentioned in the unboxing part of the video, it can show them with some limited color. A select few games would show enhanced color palettes, giving them a little bit more color than most other black and white Game Boy games. The list of some of these games is as follows: Donkey Kong, Kirby's Dream Land, Kirby's Dream Land 2, Kirby's Pinball Land, Metroid 2: The Return of Samus, Pokemon Red and Blue, Pokemon Yellow, Super Mario Land, Super Mario Land 2: 6 Golden Coins, Tetris, Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3, and Nintendo Golf. Though there could be as many as 93 games that support additional colors. These were hard-coded into the Game Boy Color, since there would be no way for the original games to be able to utilize color on their own. The rest of the Game Boy library will also display in color, but only from 12 preset palettes. By default, it uses a color combination of green, blue, salmon, black, and white. To change the palette, you press certain combinations of buttons while the Game Boy logo appears on the screen. Any directional key and or A and or B. For example, pressing left and B at the title screen will make everything black and white. There'll be a link to an article with more explanation below. And as stated earlier, the Game Boy Color can just about play all previous Game Boy games as designated by their gray cartridges, though some games, like Pokemon and Donkey Kong Land, came in other colors. Black cartridges are games that work on both the original Game Boy and the Game Boy Color. They're basically Game Boy games that have extra colors already programmed into them, but they don't take advantage of any of the extra benefits of Game Boy Color, such as the increased CPU power. Clear cartridges, however, will only work with the Game Boy Color and future systems such as the Game Boy Advance. That is because they not only utilize extra colors, but the extra processing capability of the Game Boy Color, something that just the original Game Boy can't do. Now I won't go into this in too much detail for this video, as I plan on making a more in-depth one in the future, but there were 2 accessories released by Nintendo that allowed you to play Game Boy games on your television: the Super Game Boy and the Game Boy Player. The Super Game Boy was an add-on for the Super Nintendo that allowed you to play any original Game Boy game on your television, with some limited color. There were some special edition games that came out known as Super Game Boy Compatible that had extra palettes as well as extra custom borders, but for the most part they were just regular Game Boy games. The Game Boy Player, on the other hand, was an attachment for the GameCube that let you play every Game Boy game, including the Game Boy Advance library. This was mainly due to the fact that the Game Boy Player was basically just a Game Boy Advance without a screen, as it would just redirect its video and controller output to the GameCube. So remember the part earlier where I said it didn't come with a backlight? Well, as with a lot of retro tech, tinkerers and enthusiasts develop their own backlight modifications. It's not easy to install if you're not familiar with a soldering iron, but if you are, the benefits are apparently worth the effort. There are a few out there, and I'll try to link to them below. Please note that these vendors are not sponsors of this channel, and I do not benefit from recommending them in any way, shape, or form. Some of these vendors also allow you to purchase a pre-modded Game Boy Color, or you can even send your own in to have them install the backlight for you. And they also include other parts and accessories that you may need to refurbish your Game Boy Color in the event that it needs it, such as a new case, buttons, things like that. So why didn't I originally own one? I wanted one, but had been hearing about a new system coming out known as Project Atlantis that would eventually replace the original Game Boy line while maintaining compatibility with them, so I waited it out. Eventually, the Game Boy Advance was announced and subsequently released. It was much more powerful and would have much more advanced games, so I'm glad I waited it out. But now I finally have one and can add it to my collection. While many of the systems I talk about on this channel will most likely be opened up for inspection and possible repair or refurbishing, I will not be opening the Game Boy Color up at this time. Since it's transparent, I can see enough of the components inside and tell nothing is wrong with it. It just needs a cleaning and that's it. Now if I ever perform a backlight mod, I'll obviously have to take it apart and I'll make sure I get some good footage of that. But since I have an original Nintendo DS, which is backwards compatible with all Game Boy games and has a backlight, I'll just play my Game Boy games on that and leave the Game Boy Color as is. So that's it for today. I may revisit the Game Boy Color in the future, we'll see. Hit like if you liked the video and feel free to subscribe if you want. If you didn't like the video, hit the thumbs down, but please leave a comment letting me know what you didn't like about it so I can try to make improvements in the future. Thanks all, and I'll catch you later.